Jordan is located in one of the least strategic areas in the Middle East, trapped between Iraq and an Assad place in Syria. Now, what this has created, according to the New York Times on November 24th, 2012, is over 500,000 refugees entering the country in the past 3 months alone. But this is the influx of low-skilled workers needing economic stability has created strains upon Jordan's social fabric. As a result, the governments of these regions have been facing increasing pressure, especially upon their king, Abdul II. As a result, today's question must be asked: can Jordan survive the Arab Spring? The answer to that question is yes, it can, for 3 key reasons. First, the correct appropriation of oil wealth. Secondly, political reform in the Abdul's regime. And thirdly, the effective controlling of refugee quotas entering the country. Now, in recent years, one of the biggest boons to the economies of the Middle East, especially Jordan, has been the appropriation of oil money. According to the Cato Institute on October 15, 2012, 42% of the income of Jordan comes through oil wealth. And what this does is this creates a dependency upon a currency which does not require heavy taxation among its population. As a result, Jordan ranks 15th in the world, ahead of the United States in terms of self-employed populations, according to the World Bank on October 15, 2010. And as a result of these appropriating economic conditions, Jordan's government has not had to face increasing crop problems faced in other Middle Eastern countries because of their dependency and relatively high population. According to an article published in the Brookings Institute on June 22, 2012, one of the biggest reasons that Egypt's conflict occurred so rapidly was because of the high number of people living within the country. Right now, Egypt has 81 million people compared to Jordan's 18. Significant disparity in population and relative amount of resources coming from oil wealth creates a problem within the social fabric of Egypt. In order to maintain the fifth highest military in the world in 2010, according to Time magazine, Egypt had to spend an exorbitant amount of its oil wealth, as well as taxing its population. What this did is create economic disparity that has hurt Egypt and caused the early amount of protests within the country. Jordan, on the other hand, has not been facing protests until, according to the Washington Post on September 24th, midway through September. Managing to go almost 2 years without any conflict from the Arab Spring has allowed Jordan's economy and government to grow and become wary during these times. As a result, following this, security forces in Jordan have an increased number of anti-terrorism trained forces within the country, wanting to prevent any conflict from this region, and any conflict from troubled regions spilling over its borders. What this has done is this created a system where Jordan's been able to effectively use the monetary assets it has in order to increase its capacity to deal with future problems. Now, the capacity to deal with future problems is very important, especially considering the present problems Jordan has. One of the biggest problems, as I mentioned in my intro, has to do with the influx of refugees in recent years. This proves to be one of the biggest issues is because these refugees in Jordan do not have the same legal rights as citizens or even foreign visitors. Because these refugees did not enter the country legally, they are at the complete will of the government, with no ability to appeal decisions made. As a result, this has made conflict almost inevitable. According to Al Jazeera, on November 7th, 2012, one of the biggest banes to Jordan's existence right now is having to manage this influx of people. But this is not all bad in Jordan's case, because in addition to the unwashed masses, there are also highly skilled laborers who want to leave the country and form a permanent basis within Jordan. According to the book, The Rise and Fall of the Great Powers, this is going to be an excellent opportunity for Jordan's economy to grow, become more stable in non-oil assets. Paul Kennedy, the author, explains that when a country receives an influx of immigration who speak the same language, they're easier to adapt and settle. Because both the countries of Iraq and Syria primarily speak Arabic, the influx of skilled laborers within this country will allow an increase in the economic growth within the region, which will help off-put the rising pool of labor that's caused by the unskilled refugees. In addition, there will also be significant boon to labor and manufacturing within Jordan. According to the International Monetary Fund, Jordan is one of the few countries in the world that has received absolutely no financial aid in the past 15 years, while maintaining a monarchy. Compare this to the governments of Morocco, which in the past 5 years alone have collected nearly $100 billion in order to refinance and reform its financial sector. Jordan's ability to effectively deal with the immigration problem allows long-term stability. Now, One of the final reasons why Jordan will be able to avoid the outbreaks of the Arab Spring is because Jordan has the ability in the long term to levy its assets with the West. Jordan is one of the few nations to recognize Israel, besides Egypt, but that is likely to change in Egypt's case specifically, because the government made recognizing Israel is no longer gone, is now gone. As a result, Jordan is one of the few allies in the Middle East that is going to allow Israel to function normally. And what this does is this grants a sense of interregional stability. According to an article published in the New York Times in November 24, 2012, one of the conflicts between Israel and Palestine spilled over to Jordan. Jordan was able to act as an effective mediator, even though they didn't actually broker the peace deal, because they had relationships with both governments. While Jordan has also recognized Palestine and voted for their acceptance in the United Nations, according to an article published in the BBC November 29, 2012. In the long run, Jordan's position as a peace broker between these two countries will allow their government to prosper significantly. Now, when we come back to today's question at hand, will Jordan be able to avoid the problems caused by the Arab Spring? The answer is a resounding yes, for three key reasons. First, Jordan's government was effectively able to leverage its oil wealth. Secondly, the influx of refugees was causing a majority of the conflict, and in the end may actually prove to be a boon to Jordan's economy. And finally, Jordan's ability to act as an effective diplomatic peace broker will ensure foreign powers will want to ensure the safety of Jordan in the long run. Despite Jordan's unfortunate position being trapped between Iraq and an Assad place, in the long run, Jordan will have a long-term economic and stability benefits to the region as a whole. Thank you.